with allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is to swear in our newly elected and re-elected board members. If you would both stand. And you can say them simultaneously.
I, Jessica Metzen, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Board of Education member of the Amherst Central School District according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
And if you could both sign that, please.
Now you're official.
Now you're official. I'll collect those in a little bit. Our second order of business is to elect board officers. Are there any nominations for board president?
I would like to nominate Mr. Paul Steinle for board president. I'll second.
Any other nominations? All those in favor of Paul Steinle as president of the Board of Education, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
You need a 4-0.
Yep.
You have to vote for yourself.
Motion carried 4-0. I'll now need a nomination for vice president.
I would like to nominate Jessica McLaughlin as vice president.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, there's like the first
No, jump right in, get your first vote.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Any other nominations for vice president? And all those in favor of Jessica McLaughlin as being vice president of the Board of Education, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? 4-0, motion carries. Will Jessica and Paul Steinle please rise, and you are going to both say your oath.
I, Paul Steinle, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Board of Education President of the Amherst Central School District according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
You can both sign. So coordinated with that.
Paul had a pretty quick pace.
I have to keep up with
You
it,
need
but I
to go
did.
see the games.
The board president is now in charge of the remainder of the meeting.
All right. What we need, before we get into motions, we need to just go over quickly committee representation. I know I've spoken pretty much with everybody. I'm sorry, Mary Jane, I did not speak to you, so I tried. So because we had a board member leaving, we had some openings on committees, and then with some people, we moved a few things around. So some of the changes, for example, the audit committee, Mrs. Goldbach's gonna step in where Mark Smith was. Capital Committee, Mary Jane, I placed you on that in place of Mark Smith. Myself and Mr. Beagle were on that. Whether, I don't know if we have meetings with that or not. But let's see. Oh, Technology Committee, there's a change. I put you on that, Mary Jane. That is Mrs. Ernst found that committee very interesting, and especially she thought with young kids you would be very interested in that. To see what we're doing. Dr. Shanahan runs that and does an excellent job. Transportation Committee, Mrs. Arrington suggested that might be good for you since you have kids that use, and we might be talking about busing this year, right, with our contract. So we might have actually a meeting with the Technology Committee. So, and then moving over to ECASB with Mark leaving, I'm then I'll step in as the rep to the budget and finance team. And Mrs. Arrington is going to take the rep to the legislative team in place of Mark Smith, and Mrs. Goldhawk's going to step in as the alternate. And then Mrs. Arrington's going to be the voting delegate at the annual business meeting, and I'm going to step in as the alternate. So those are the only changes to the committees from last year. With that, we will need a motion for, let's see,
I have it in a table, I'm ready for you.
the following reorganization items. So why don't I, to make things easy, item 4, A through E, V, A through GG. Well, she has it just, yes. Roman numeral 6, A through I. Roman numeral 7, A through F. Roman numeral 8, Roman numeral 9, A through J, and Roman numeral 10, A through O, and Roman numeral 11, A through M. Big long list there. So I make a motion for that, I guess. So. Make things easy.
Yeah. I'll second that. Perfect.
All in favor? Please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Now we need to administer the oath to the district clerk, Mrs. Custodian. Do I have that for you? Oh, yes, I do.
Did you want it?
Oh, and Mrs. Bazinski for the acting clerk in Mrs. Custodian's absence. So you two get to read these and sing.
Let's see how good you are, yeah.
Yeah, see if you're as good as we were.
Plus the two of them head off to Saratoga. Fell on their knees.
Yeah.
I'll slow down. Thank you. I, Deborah Kozinski, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of District Clerk and Board Secretary of the Amherst Central School District according to the best of my ability, so help me God. No.
That was very.
Okay.
Don't you need to sign?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, at this time then, the reorganization meeting, portion of this meeting is adjourned and the regular session begins. So, we don't have any visitors, so nobody wants to speak. I don't see any written communication. So, Board of Ed protocol. So, Mary Jane, have you seen our Board of Ed protocol? So is there any changes anybody wants to make, or everybody's good with this? Again, perfect. And we adopt that again? This
We
facility, or
don't
we're
adopt it.
We just agree to it. So the 3 people not here are just gonna have to live with it, so. Then we go to the superintendent's report. Do you have anything to report? Other than you want to see a baseball game today?
It's, well, in my defense, it's one of our former students who happens to be starting in the All-Star game for the Texas Rangers in the American League. So that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Not that I just want to go see a baseball game. This is cradle to grave here in Amherst Central School. We don't just send them out in the world after they graduate and leave them be. Yeah. So that would be nice to see.
Our very own Duke McGuire was quoted quite a bit
Starting
in
at
it, so.
8 o'clock. But I did not want to have too many items in the superintendent's report with, you know, because I didn't want to have to repeat them. I would mention though that I know we've had some community members asking for our consideration relative to the firefighters exemption. And we do plan to have a report on that in August, as well as a list of proposed board topics for the year for you to consider. But for tonight, it's just nice to get organized and get on with the evening.
So Mary Jane, what that is, so there's various exemptions at the top, we can give for school taxes. The volunteer firefighters, the town adopted one, and we would have to adopt it for it to affect the school tax, and it gives them, any volunteer firefighter, a break on their school taxes as well. So I've asked Mrs. Bazinski to, what is that going to affect? Essentially, what are we asking the taxpayers? When you get an exemption, you're asking other taxpayers to make up the difference. So how, based on the current assessment roll, what is that going to cost us? And once we know that, then we can do a vote. As long as we get it voted on before March 1st, it's good for the school tax for next year. There's nothing we can do about it for this year at this point. So that's what that is. You're all set? This is going to be the quickest meeting you ever see, Mary Jane. So then we need a motion for new business items.
I'll make a motion for new business items, Roman numeral 15, A through L, 16B through E, and 17B, C, D, E, and H.
Oh, you got it all. Good. We have a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay. I need a motion then, or I need all in favor of approving new business items, Roman numeral 15, A through L, Roman numeral 17, B through E, Roman numeral 18, B, C, D, E, and H. Please say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0. I don't believe we have any follow-up action items. And so I will need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Make your motion. Make your motion. Make your first motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll do it.
We have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go, done.
That's the record. We have never had a meeting.
Wait till